let's talk about the QuickBooks Labs 2.0, I guess.
Yeah. So I had brought up an idea almost a year ago now about revitalizing and bringing back QuickBooks Labs, which was a feature that lived up in the big gear in the upper right-hand corner that had a list of all of the features that they were experimenting with that they weren't sure if they wanted to release or not. And then you could turn a slider and turn it on and it would show up in your file. And then you could test it out. And if you liked it, you would keep it. And if you didn't like it, you would turn it off. And that gave them the knowledge of which features people liked and which features were useless. Like for a while, there was a dark mode. And so you could turn on dark mode. You know, that's like when your computer at night flops to black so that you don't get as much blue light before bed. So all of the apps in the last couple of years have had a light mode and a dark mode. And they tried it on QuickBooks and it just didn't work. And so that disappeared. But on the flip side, you know, when you go into a customer detail screen and it's got the sidebar where you can see your whole list of customers and not have to go all the way back out to customers to switch customers, that was originally a lab. That was a successful lab, and that became baked into the software. So they got rid of labs about, a year ago, 2 years ago. I'm losing track. But I personally think that that is absolutely the way to go. I actually have two solutions for them for how to solve this whole big conundrum that's making literally everybody crazy. And, the design for delight, which is Intuit's mission statement. Right now, there is no delight. There's no delight into it because of all these changes. So I have two solutions. So one is bring back QuickBooks Labs and have modern reports, the invoicing, the revenue recognition, all of the different features that are in development there as toggles. And you turn it on, and then you know that you're getting the experimental version, and you want to do it because you want to give them feedback so that they can improve it. And then if people turn it off, the developers know, hey, there's a problem, and maybe they even reach out to you sometimes to find out what it is and help solve those problems. So that way we're in it by choice. And if we're in it by choice, then we don't have the emotional drama of navigating the unknown and the uncertainty all the time. We're intentional. In this file, I want this on. In this file, now we're going to turn it back off again. So that's my QuickBooks Labs solution. So that's my solution number one. Hector, what are your thoughts about that one?
No, I think it's fantastic. I think it's important to discuss that accountants are conservative, safety seeking creatures, and the feeling that, hey, I don't care if they do all sorts of beta testing as long as I know that I could switch it back. That just fundamentally changes my relationship with the entire software, with the company, and everything else. And the second point here is the quality of feedback is fundamentally different.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you opt in to test a particular screen and you don't like something, most people are going to say, oh, I tested this screen. These are the things I don't like. This is what I would like to see, A, B, and C. But if you get forced into the new screen and you can't go back to the new screen, your feedback is, these are all the reasons why I'm freaking out and I hate this screen. And here's my feedback. So it fundamentally changes them. It's the same issue, it's the same feedback, but it's contextually different because instead of coming from a place of trying to be helpful and trying to co-develop a delightful change in the software, it comes from a place of anxiety and hate and all this stuff. So by simply adding this idea that Alicia has, so again, new features, stuff like revenue recognition, that's technically a new feature that's being beta tested, et cetera, versus changes on the screens like classic mode and modern view. Both of those things can all be lumped into QuickBooks Labs, give the power users the list of all the things that are being tested on, make it very clear, make sure that I am opting in to be an unpaid beta tester instead of me feeling like I'm being forced into being an unpaid beta tester. And I want to add one more thing. The QuickBooks Lab thing kind of exists now. Like engineers can go on the back end and switch screens for you. And this is how they essentially do the beta testing. The problem is that this stuff is so sort of micro controlled that it's very labor intensive. I think if they just release to the general public the ability to to beta test anything, they're going to have a lot more beta testers and a lot more beta testers giving good feedback.
Yeah, it really it changes the character of the feedback. Instead of being constructive criticism, then it's complaining. So, we don't want to be complaining about QuickBooks. We want to be giving constructive feedback, and so building it into the software natively is a good way of going. All right, my second one.
Yeah,
So
sure. Of course.
my second solution, which I think is brilliant, and I think it's a multi-million-dollar option that they should jump on immediately, is what we just said about the test drive, how the test drive is essentially a stable release. It's what works well, and they do that so that when people take a look at QuickBooks Online to see if it's right for them, they have that experience of delight. What if we had a platform where we can choose, do we want to be in the stable release or do we want to be on the cutting edge release? And maybe there's a different price point. Maybe the stable release is a little bit more expensive and the beta testing is a little less expensive. Like maybe it's half price or you get 20% off or something, so that, one of the other complaints that people have about QuickBooks Online is that it is expensive. And, you could say, oh, well, like $30 for Simple Start, you should be able to afford that. Great. But Simple Start doesn't do a lot. And $90 a month for a very, very small one-person small business is actually a lot of money. So if we can have a version like, do you want to be on the stable platform or do you want to be on the cutting edge platform? Then you get people who are opting in, saving a little bit of money and sacrificing that continuity in exchange for the giving feedback. And that way people are in it and they know that they're in the beta version, and then they can give feedback. And, one thing that Intuit doesn't realize is that as they're doing all of this beta testing, it costs us hours of time sometimes. Like we have to call support to find out why something's not working. Oh, wait, that's not in the feature yet. Or, okay, wait, now I don't have the ability to, on the new invoices, I can't roll up all of the individual costs into one line item anymore. Wait, I need that for my government contracts. Now I have to go spend a whole bunch of time finding a workaround and finding a way that I can still do my invoicing that's acceptable to my client. And that costs us hours of productivity, hours and hours of productivity. So we can choose that for some clients and opt out of that for other clients. That would really be a huge benefit. So I'm a vote for not having live beta testing like the lean startup that I mentioned earlier, where you're constantly testing on us to see what works and what doesn't. Don't do that. Have a stable release and have a cutting edge version, a beta version, and let us choose which one we're in.